You're listening to Closing Market Weekly, the show where real estate closings meet real world insight. With your host, Phillip Hogan, and every week we break down the trends, tools, and the timing that keeps deals moving forward. Let's dive in. Hi, I'm Phillip Hogan, host of Closing Market Weekly. Many of you may know me as the CEO of Signing Services of America. Since 2016, I've worked with hundreds of professionals across the mortgage real estate settlement space, from title agents and escrow officers to lenders, attorneys, and notaries. One thing I've noticed in this industry, we often talk to each other, but not with each other. That's why Closing Market was created, to offer a space for honest, practical conversations about the real issues, challenges, and trends shaping the closing market. Today's guest is someone I've had the pleasure of working closely with over the years, Jamar Bates, who's the CEO of Bates Mortgage. We partnered on countless signings and client projects, and I'm excited to finally bring one of our behind-the-scene conversations to the podcast. So, Mr. Bates, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here with you today.
And we as well. So, folks, let me just share with you some of our guests' background. It was very, very impressive. So, a native, Jamar Bates, a native of Philadelphia. By the way, I used to live in Philly and used to take the number 13 trolley from Center City to 52nd in Baltimore. And so we could talk about that. So Mr. Bates is a native of Philadelphia, Chester, Pennsylvania. Mr. Bates joined the United States Marine Corps and served from 1987 to 1995, receiving an honorable discharge after an 8-year career serving in Desert Storm, Desert Shield in the Middle East, Operation Sharp Edge, and Monrovia, Liberia, among countless other operations, and is now a combat disabled veteran. After leaving the Marines, he spent several years as a federal officer with the Department of Justice. In 1997, Mr. Bates obtained his real estate license with Georgia Real Estate Commission. After 3 productive years as an agent in 2021, he became a broker owner and opened Bates Realty Group, Inc., and became one of the fastest growing firms in Metro Atlanta, either building homes or selling residential and commercial properties, which he still operates today. January 2005, Mr. Bates expanded and opened Bates Mortgage Group, LLC, with the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, originating in refinancing primary, secondary, and investment properties, and Viva FHA, conventional, jumbo, USDA, and other niche products. Mr. Bates, what an impressive background. How have you been able to accomplish all of these things in such a little bit of time? Share with us, please.
Well, thank you, first of all. But it hasn't been a short amount of time. It's been about 20, almost 25 years.
Uh-huh.
And what I've seen was just the ability where oftentimes when you're doing a vast amount of marketing and you're out there putting yourself first, your clients start to trust and believe in you. And you're developing referral partners until you find out they may not be doing things the way you would like to in terms of a great pass off. And I just looked at vertical integration. So as I was more of the procuring costs for the lead generation for that client, before I was referring it off to the mortgage guy.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Why not become the mortgage guy? Back then, this is pre-license.
Right.
So you could be doing real estate today, and tomorrow you can also be doing mortgages because it didn't require a license. And I just built on that, making it more of a one-stop shop for my clients to just have that one conversation with me. And if need be, I can refer that business out or I can keep it in-house.
Right. Well, it makes sense, right? It's what you're saying is that, why give business to someone else when I can do it myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that worked.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Just kind of knowing all the working pieces
Yes.
to the transaction.
Yes, indeed. And so, with all that you have accomplished, would you share with our audience what was your first experience like in the closing process?
My first experience in the closing process was it was eye-opening. right?
Okay.
Because you go through the academic piece of it.
Uh-huh.
And I had purchased a couple homes myself,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But in terms of being the guy who's controlling the situation, and now a client's really depending on me to make it not only get the deal done, but in a smooth way, right? Because that's really the experience that the clients want to have.
Uh-huh.
They want to have a smooth, seamless transaction, and it's not always the case from their eyes, right? From our side, we're doing a lot of work on the back end. It's like a duck in water, right? Feet are just kind of going, and you're trying to maneuver that piece, leaning on your broker for the firm that you have or other tools and resources you have. But just putting it together, getting to the closing table, clients happy, the deal was done as they had anticipated it, and they're now a homeowner. So now it's almost seeing that ball go through the hoop, right? So you say, you know what, the balls went through the hoop. I could do this. I can do this, and I want to do more of this
Right.
because yeah, we get compensated for what we do, but the value and the difference that you make in people's lives
Mm.
in terms of getting home ownership is just immeasurable.
Mm. I hear so much synergy here in regard to what you do and how you do it, and then how Signing Services America has done things. And one of the metaphors that I use to describe what who we are is sort of like looking at it the existing relationship within the mortgage community and our partners as we're members of the team. We're members of the same team. And we have
Yeah,
one common goal, which is to score a touchdown or to, score goals for the team so we can win. And so the transaction starts with the mortgage broker in your case, and then of course it goes over the title, and then it comes over to us, and then it's Sign Service America. Then we have to ultimately do what? We have to score a touchdown, right? And
right.
so sometimes you have to be very creative to score that touchdown. But I tell you one thing, once you have done it, oh my gosh, it's such jubilation that everyone experiences because we won. We scored a touchdown. We won the game, and it's like, it's a victory for everybody. So I share that same type of value with you in regard to having that joy of accomplishing what we all set out to go to achieve. So as we move on in our show, we want to have we have a rapid fire questions section. So here we go. You ready?
Sure.
Great. So what's one closing mistake you'll never forget?
Closing mistake I'd never forget
Yes.
is to make sure never start spending your pendants, right? Make sure that the deal gets done before you start looking at other things because anything will fall apart at any time.
Oh my
Big
goodness.
biggest deal is the biggest killer to any deal is time.
I tell you, man, boy, it's nothing like having the money in the bank before you start spending the money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what's one tool or system you swear by?
Top producer. Top
Mm.
Producer is a CRM, client relationship management system,
Hmm.
and I started on it back 20 something years ago when they had the floppy disk and the 46 computers.
Uh,
It's just immeasurable in terms of just capturing data for your clients, keeping notes, and a lead follow up system.
Very good.
Top
All right.
Producer.
All right. Top producer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then paper or digital, which do you prefer?
Digital.
All right. And
Digital. And that started with Top Producer, right?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
putting it in the computer, and between that and your schedule, it runs your life.
Right. Now, can you imagine? I mean, so not, do you think that we would have the type of advancements in the mortgage industry if we did not have digital products?
No, I
Right.
mean you're hard pressed. I mean
Yeah.
when I first started, we were taking listings and filling out paperwork,
Yeah.
3-ply, press hard,
Yeah.
pink copy, white copy.
Yeah.
You can remember they had couriers who were
Yeah.
bringing packages to the closing table in traffic, and now it's Atlanta traffic, right?
Yes.
So no,
Yes.
I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
things going anywhere where it is today.
I agree with you. Technology has played such a pivotal role in the growth of our industry, and it's to the better side of it. So our last question in the rapid fire segment is, what's one trend in the industry you think is overrated?
Overrated in the industry, um, probably mail outs, mailings.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Uh, yeah, some of the mailings. I mean, it's different ways to market, but just mail outs. I think, folks have looked at paper or right paper, right? These paper techniques. I
Mm,
think it's overrated in terms of now you have a digital world, right? So the social media has taken over that and kind of old school
mm-hmm,
in terms of phone calls.
mm-hmm,
I'm big on that.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, if anything in terms of overrated magazines, right, paper,
mm-hmm,
as you mentioned earlier,
mm-hmm,
overrated. And I have some folks who still think, well, I'm going to do flyers or have a street crew and things of that nature.
mm-hmm,
Not as great
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and very costly.
Yeah, and time consuming.
Yes.
I find that marketing, Signing Service America is a national signing service, and so we have to market in the national marketplace. And most of our clients come from the work that we do, the marketing that we do on social media, and it's invaluable. So I certainly understand where you're saying mail outs are sort of become dated,
Hmm.
and therefore we have to, like any other industry, we have to transition when the need is required. And as a result, hopefully you've got a team that can help you accomplish that transition so you can get the fruits of your labor that's waiting for you. So the next segment in our show is the main topic. And this is really where we bring in the experts like Jamar to come in and talk. And so, Jamar, we have a topic that I think that you can probably talk very, very heavily on, and that is technology and compliance.
Yes.
Go for it. Where do you see technology and compliance? You've alluded to that throughout the show so far, and have we gotten to a point where you want to expand on that previously mentioned topic?
Yeah. As I
Mhm.
mentioned before, like the technology in
Mhm.
terms of just ease of doing business,
Mm.
right? It's it's easier to do business, but just like it's always been, you have to be consistent with it, right?
Mhm.
It's not a
Mhm.
matter of I'm going to do something today with a big bang and then you just drop off.
Mm.
So the technology is in terms of if it's going to be whatever you're doing from your daily prospecting and lead follow up, what kind of technology are you using to either capture those leads, get that information in, and reach out?
Mhm.
Other technology pieces I spoke about earlier in terms of the social media,
Mm.
right? What platforms are you using? Is it, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or even podcasts as you're doing, right? Just
Mhm.
another great piece. What I love about the podcast is you can now cater that conversation as we're doing now to your audience, to the masses, and also to certain markets, right? Because you can now put it into either certain cities, zip codes, just using that technology to reach a broader audience, not only for marketing your services, but also just for educational purpose.
Mhm.
Because some people may not be ready now.
Mhm.
So I have a drip campaign where I may have different programs of our menu of services that we provide,
Mhm.
and I'll put that out to the market over time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And with that, you want to make sure that everything you're doing is compliant, right? So from
Mhm.
a mortgage standpoint, we're always making sure we have our MLS numbers on there as compliance is mandated by Department of Banking and Finance and any other regulatory items that they may mention.
Mhm.
If we're quoting rates, are we putting the APR on that? And so we stay on top of that because you just don't want to get slapped or fined.
Mhm.
And sometimes it happens. We've had our slaps in terms of slaps and fines
Mhm.
from a couple different states, right? And that sometimes it's the learning process
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
to know what you can and can't do. When
Mhm.
we first opened up, we were licensed in 35 states,
Mhm.
right? Because we wanted to look at market share. But what I found out was that every state, they will
Mhm.
audit you every 2 years. If
Mm.
you've done business in that state or not. So
Mm-hmm.
at one time, I was looking at probably 5 or 6 audits on my desk
Mm-hmm.
that I had to go through, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I got 5 or 6 audits. Probably 3 of the states I never did business in, so now it's taking up time. So it's really a matter of we had to kind of pivot and look at our highest and best use in terms of what's making the most sense from a technology standpoint for us to market in versus what we have to go through from a compliance standpoint. And not only getting into those states to do business, but also to get out. And
Mm.
ironically, I didn't know that like states like Illinois, we had to have a surety bond for Illinois to get in. Well, if you terminate your license in Illinois and a few other states, you still have to carry a bond for another 3 years. So it's still additional cost, even though you're not doing business in those states.
And why did you have to carry a bond for another additional 3 years?
Just any liability if you had a client who had an issue with you and they have what is it called? Statute of limitations. So
Mm-hmm.
statute of limitations. So if you did business in that state and a client had 3 years statute of limitations
Mm-hmm.
to file a claim against you, they wanted to make sure that you had a surety bond in place.
Mm-hmm.
So again, those are things you sometimes you have to be in the game to know the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can hire compliance officers based on your budget, things of that nature. And it's really a matter of how much bandwidth each individual owner or person in the business can handle and how much they're willing to learn.
So Jamar, so with that, and thank you for that information. And with that information, have you decided to either expand your reach or reduce your reach or keep it as it is?
So great question. So what we've decided to do was kind of get rid of a lot of the states that we
Mm-hmm.
weren't doing business in and narrow that focus into the higher the ones that made sense, right? If it
Mm-hmm.
makes dollars, it makes sense. So we dipped our toe in the water on 35 states, and then we say, you know what? 2 or 3 years we've been doing marketing. We're just not getting the traction, getting the profit, and let's just narrow that down
Mm-hmm.
to the states that it did make sense in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was just a better business decision for us at the time.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's why spend money if there's no if if there are no gains in return, and I mean, so how much time would you have given yourself, or how much time have you given yourself to determine if a particular state is worth your time advertising and going through all of the onboarding requirements to get business?
So we gave it 3 years.
Okay.
And so I'd also recommend to anyone who's looking at that to have as best you can, right? As best you can, have those funds set aside for
Mm-hmm.
any kind of business plan or marketing. So if you say, "Hey, I'm going into this state. Here's my plan. Here is the budget that we have set aside
Mm-hmm.
to get some market penetration
Mm-hmm.
for those states, and
Mm-hmm.
stick with the plan."
Mm-hmm.
Um, as best you can because again with business you have the ebbs and flows
Mm-hmm.
but you have to give it time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So you said 3 years is the magic time period for you.
that was what it was for us. Yes.
Hmm. Okay. And was there, and once you like executed that, was there any point in time that you realized, well, listen, we need to either add more time because we're cutting ourselves off, or reduce the time because we're realizing that, well, we don't need that kind of time in this particular state? Or was it just standard 3 years and that was it?
It was about 3 years
Okay.
because for us from the banking and finance side it was just a matter of hey we renew by December 31st but we start our education series or continuing education around September October.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to make those decisions to see not only how much business that we closed, but how much traction was we getting. Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you get the traction, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a longer sales cycle. So we
Mm-hmm.
were getting, say, in Washington State, we were getting traction and just hadn't closed anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then we may elect to extend it probably another year and say, okay, well let's see what the cost of doing business is between licenses, renewals, surety bonds, fidelity bonds, and whatever those daily weekly, monthly, or annual cost may be.
So, what I'm hearing, Jamar, is, and I hope our audience is hearing that as well, is you got as a business owner, you got to constantly keep your finger on the temperature of what's going on within your business. You can't afford to ease up, because when you ease up, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But if you ease up, then things can happen, and as a result, things can get out of control. And before you know it, you have a mountain of problems. Had you kept your finger on the pulse of what's going on, you may have just, a pebble. Yes, no, you agree?
Yes, I agree. And it's great that you pulled that up because from a business owner, it's a matter of you have to always pay close attention to the details, the small
Mm-hmm.
things, the small task every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you let a couple things start falling through the cracks on the small things, you'll see they come to much larger things on the back end.
Mm.
Um, it was something else I was going to mention there,
And
but
when they
oh
come,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
and some of that is it comes from working on the business versus in the business.
Oh
Because
my
sometimes we
goodness.
could find ourselves working in the business so much
Right,
doing the deals that we don't
right.
work on the business in
Business.
terms of building out that market
Right.
or the team that you have in place.
Right, right. That's very good. Good stuff. Good stuff. So this topic of technology and compliance was spot on for you, Jamar, because you have given our audience a wealth of information that anyone can use, no matter where you are in the mortgage industry. And again, our audience is pretty much comprised of people that work within the mortgage industry, from the realtor to the third party vendor. Everybody is here, and the two things that we have all come to know and depend upon is the utilization of technology and the compliance that goes along with the work that we do in this space. And everyone has to become compliant, right? And the more
Correct.
states you're in, the more compliance requirements that exist. So thank you for that information, Jamar. And as we move on to the next segment in our show, before we close, the industry tip of the week. If you have one piece of advice for someone in this industry trying to improve their closing success rate, what would it be?
The one tip for closing at a higher success rate is lead follow up,
Break
right?
that down,
So
please.
so love the prospecting, right? So no
Mhm.
matter what your business is, for me, I love the prospecting. Pick up the phone, and it takes time in terms of just getting comfortable.
Mm,
I had scripts that I would use when we first started, and now it's just natural, right?
mm,
So pick up the phone, make your 25 minimum calls. That's going to take you no more than an hour a day, right? But it's more of a proactive approach in terms of building your business.
mm.
But the closing ratio comes
Yes.
with effective lead follow up.
Okay.
So for clients who I may have spoken to today, no matter what your industry is,
Right.
if you're using Top Producer, Salesforce, Excel, spreadsheet, whatever that is, keep very copious notes. So I can call you back in if you say, hey, you know what, Jamar, I'm not ready today. I got to take my kids back to school. They're going to Howard and some other school. And then my wife's on vacation and we get back on September 19th.
Right.
So maybe the week of the 20th.
Right.
I can call that person back that week with notes and say, hey, Phillip, hey, and reference those notes.
Right.
It makes a world of difference to the client.
Right.
Are you being authentic or are you just, going off your notes? But it just helps in terms of that conversation and calling them back when they say you will. Do what
Right.
you say you're going to do.
Right. Right.
Um, and it takes time for any business to build up that pipeline of people you're calling back. It may be next week, next month, next year. But
Uh-huh.
over time, effective lead follow up has been immeasurable in terms of our business itself.
And so again, we're talking with the mortgage industry, and one of the two people that, or the two individuals within the mortgage industry that comes to mind when you're talking about lead follow-up is our realtors, our mortgage lenders, and then of course the signing agents, right? We're the people, those individuals, not we, but those individuals are constantly looking for new leads. And one of the things that I'm sharing with the people that I talk to in regard to the work that I do for Signing Services America, even with the show, right, is that some people may say, "Hey, listen, Phillip, I'm not ready today, but call me back in 90 days. And so if you don't call them back, then it kind of like makes them think that, well, was he really serious? I mean, how sincere is he about wanting to really have me on this show, or have me provide some type of business to him for his business. So the importance of follow up, and I love how you said very specific type of content that you have to follow up on is so important, and it's a difference maker, right? Because there's some people who are going to be just as attention to detail as you, and say, okay, well, guys, I told him to call me back in 3 weeks to this day, and sure enough, he did. So let's do business. You know what I mean? So that's a very good piece of advice, and thank you for sharing that, Jamar. And so finally, with all that information that you shared, some people may want to reach out to you and say, "Gosh, I'd like to talk to that guy, Jamar Bates, some more. He had such great information." How can people find you, Jamar?
JamarBates.com.
Spell that, please.
JamarBates.com. That's our site. My information is there, and it'll show the lines of business that we provide. But it
Mhm.
also has my contact information there. You can reach me anytime. Call, text, or email me. My phone number is 404-521-0001. And my email is jamar@batesmortgage.com. Bates like Norman, mortgage.com. Those millennials, they have no idea what that is. But yeah, the whole Bates thing.
Okay, good.
Folks like us, we catch the whole Bates. So yeah, and man, I am more than happy and thrilled, one, to be on your show, right?
Yeah.
But just to share information,
Uh-huh.
because I mean, it costs what it costs, right? In terms
Yeah.
of the experience to get that. But I just love sharing knowledge across whatever platforms I can to whomever is out there looking for that knowledge of business.
Well, Jamar, you have obviously, your experience speaks for itself. And, those that are new to the industry, those that are in the industry for a number of years can still benefit from the great information that you are sharing. And it's not only the information that you shared, it's the passion how it was delivered, right? And, many of our audience is going to listen to this podcast by headset. They may be driving, they may be working out, they may be just doing some chores around the home, so they're not sitting in front of a monitor watching and listening. And so they're going to feel the passion that you spoke with. They're going to feel the intent that you spoke with. They're going to feel the power in how you share what you shared. And that is very contagious. And that's the benefit of a podcast, is to speak to the mobile community, right? We're always in cycles, we're always in motion, we're driving and we're listening, we're taking care of the children, we're listening. So our show hopefully will be something that they're listening to, learning from. And if they feel the need to reach out to you and talk further with you, that you'll be available and they know how to find you. So I thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to spend with us. It's been a delight.
Awesome, man. Again, appreciate you just for considering me on your show. And hopefully I can get back on in a few months, man. And we can continue to chop it up.
It sounds good. So listen, so to all of our audience, before we break and move on, let Mr. Bates go. Please like, follow, and share us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye now. Thanks for tuning in to the Closing Market Weekly. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone in the industry. For more insights from the front lines of real estate closings, we'll see you next week.